Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the next episode. I am joined by Dyer today. Say hello, Dyer.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
We are going to be talking about super tanks and what they mean in bolt action. We've picked out 4 of them. You'll see which ones they are in the episode. But first, how is the lockdown for you, Dyer?
Yeah, it's not too bad. I picked up plenty of hobby stuff just before the lockdown kicked in. I was a bit disappointed that I didn't pick up some stuff from B&Q to make my own board, which would have probably kept me a bit more occupied. But I managed to pick up 2 squads of, or 2 boxes, shall I say, from Warlord for the winter German infantry when we were down visiting. I also managed to get myself a King Tiger, and I managed to get myself a lot of stuff from Foundry. So I got plenty of Fallschirmjäger and sort of special infantry. So I can make up sort of a vast range of winter infantry to cover sort of all theatres, which would go well with my pretty large coming along German army that I've got currently. So yes, I've just started off with most of the Fallschirmjäger and some of the Grenadiers, and I'll get onto the Warlord, given infantry next, and then probably get onto the King Tiger and the Panther that I've got winging. So plenty of stuff to get on with, but I could have picked up a bit more. Got plenty of pigs. Thanks to the guys over at Imps. So yeah, I'm doing pretty well. I'm going to start painting in the next couple of days. I've been working on a few stuff, putting infantry together, but it's not too bad. I know people are worse off during this lockdown, but hobby keeps me going.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things we've got as hobbyists is like this lockdown's a good opportunity to just smash out a load of painting. I know you're on your desk there. You've got Road to Berlin, the Battle of the Bulge books. Obviously, you said you're going to be looking at different theatres with this army, but I'm quite looking forward to this new Stalingrad book that's coming out because I've been meaning to do like a proper ragged German winter force for a while, and I think this is the thing that's going to give it me to actually do it.
Yeah. It's I think me and you have talked about this before. I've been very, very interested in this new Stalingrad book. It's the Russian theatre is one that I don't think gets touched on enough. I think everybody looks at the sort of Russian army when it comes to bolt action in a big way, but I found a lot of the sort of battles that went on in Kursk and Stalingrad, and obviously the Battle of Moscow, just Barbarossa in general, I found is sort of a bit under sort of displayed within bolt action when it comes to historical battles. So yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to this Stalingrad book and seeing what opportunities it gives me for my Germans in a bit of a mess around using everything from early war all the way through to sort of late war.
Yeah.
So yeah, it should be pretty interesting.
Awesome. Right, so without further ado, we're going to get on to one of the subjects. So one of the tanks you've got there on the table is going to be mentioned in this Super Tanks episode. So the first proper super tank we're going to talk about. This one, not many people will... I think they'll have seen it, but I don't think they'll really know anything much about it or even know what the hell it is. But the first proper super tank, are you ready for this? Drum roll, the Char 2C. Now, this thing is absolutely ridiculous. Like, it looks like an absolute monster. I've just put up the picture here. Dyer can't see all the pictures I'm putting up, but so this one is basically got the 12 crew lined up across the width of this tank. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, what is it, like 12 inches long or something?
The model is, yeah, it literally, like, I've got one, not painted it up properly yet, but, like, if it comes on from reserve, it has to come in at an angle, otherwise you can't physically, because it's slow, it doesn't physically fit onto the board. It's so funny. So I'll do a few stats about this, a little bit of history, and then we'll talk about it in game terms. So stat-wise, so there were 10 of them made. It had a crew of 12. Yes, that's 12 men inside this thing. Absolutely ridiculous. Coming in at 69 tons, 33 feet long, 13 feet high. It had, on the front, when it was up armoured during the 1940s, had 90 mils of front armour. These are really a relic of the First World War, and they were mainly used by the French as like a propaganda tool to show like the French public and any potential enemies like, this is the beast that's waiting for you. Unfortunately, none of them actually saw any proper action. They were all being transported on trains. The French government were too worried to really put them into the fight, and most of them got destroyed on the trains by airstrikes and stuff. So
sounds about right for the French.
Yeah, so these didn't do particularly well. It's a hell of a beast, though.
Yeah, so you can see it has both sort of characteristics of sort of early Second World War, but the same with the trucks and sort of the setup of the First World War. So he was probably one of the best tanks during the interim war. Just never really got a chance to see service, and he was French.
So let's look at it in game terms, because I think out of the 4 tanks that we're going to be talking to today, I think this is the only one I've ever actually used. I've got models for 3 out of the 4, but this is the only one I've ever used. So it's 152 inexperienced, 190 regular, 228 veteran. That's for the medium version. And you can upgrade that to a command tank and heavy armour for 105 points. So if you were to take it as the heavy, so it's the 10 value armour, regular would be 295 points. So it's a hell of a chunk, but
Well, it kind of feels like probably the least of a chunk for any of the other 3 we're going to come on to.
That's
but
true.
For its capability in game, it's probably you could significantly better tanks at a smaller size, and I think as we'll probably talk on, this is one of the sort of downfalls of ball action of taking the larger versions of tanks, where you're probably far better off taking a sort of a heavy or a medium tank.
Yeah, definitely.
And padding out your force other ways. It's kind of a little bit disappointing, but hey, that's how the game rules go at the moment.
I mean, this thing, weapons-wise, it's not badly loaded out, actually. You know what? Compared to the other 3 tanks, this thing's more useful in bolt action than they are. So it's got a turret-mounted light howitzer, a rear turret-mounted MMG, and 3 side and forward-facing MMGs. So it's got 4 machine guns and a light howitzer. That's pretty good, really.
Yeah, good infantry killer. I see the usefulness of being a more of an infantry support tank rather than a sort of head-on heavy versus heavy armour.
Yeah, definitely. And another nice thing about it is because of its mass, even if it gets taken out, you can sort of position it, and it proves like it's got a really nice like mobile cover, so you can run your infantry behind it and shield it from enemy fire. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, it was one of these not a little while back, and sort of just absolutely emptying mass amounts of dice into people, which is always the fun part of ball action. If you do manage to take a heavy tank that's got 3 MMGs or something, Jamie, you can just empty that handful of dice into somebody. It's always an entertaining thing to see on the board.
Yeah. Model-wise, I think there's, as far as I'm aware, there's only one really available, and that is from Warlord Games website. And that comes in at £42, which, to be fair, the amount of freaking resin it's made of, you can sort of understand the price tag.
It's still. I think with most of these tanks, they're specialty items. You sort of pad your army out, and then all of a sudden you get near the end, and you think, "Ooh, what haven't I got?" So it's probably more one of them than a soft bump.
I think I did it when I bought mine. I think it was a couple of years back at the GT, and I was like in the Warlord Games shop looking at all the stuff and went, what do I want? Like, I want something, like you said, something special. And then like one of the guys said, you got French, haven't you? I went, yeah. Do you want a Char 2C? I'm like, yeah, go on then, why not? Yeah, go on then.
Sounds very familiar to one of the tanks we'll be talking about in a bit.
Yes, so up next we have the one that's on your painting table, the King Tiger. So we're going to go with more of a realistic super tank. So one that was kind of, really used. What we'll do is we'll do the same formula, bit of stats and history, and then we'll chat about it. So King Tiger, 490 of them made, so fair bit more than the Char 2C. It come in at 60 tons with 5 crew, and then all these tanks have got really similar measurements. So it's 33 feet long, 10 feet high, with between 100 and 150 mils of armour. The main thing with the sort of heavy project that Hitler really liked into, he thought these super tanks could like his V weapons would like winning the war at the end, where But to be honest with you, with fuel shortages and just being purely outnumbered, they didn't really do the job. Like, one-on-one, these things are a monster and would take out allied armour like that. But it wasn't one-on-one. There was, 30 T-34s to one King Tiger. It's just not... The odds aren't good.
Yeah, so it's like with most of the heavy German tanks that are out there. They were all built for long range rather than anything else. So not a lot of them were made for sort of taking on mass amounts of Russian armour, which in turn combat fight we saw it in Normandy, and then obviously saw it sort of towards Kursk, where Russians learned if they just could close the ground, or the same as the Americans, or the Allies, if you could just close the ground against these German heavy tanks, you took sort of that combat effectiveness away. And this is what we saw with these heavy and sort of super heavy tanks that came along sort of late war.
Yeah. I mean, game-wise, let's have a look. So, again, this is like a silly amount of points. So, we've got 555 points regular and 666 points veteran. It is a super heavy 11 plus armour with a super heavy gun and a hull mounted MMG, and it has Tiger Fear. So, yeah, that's a lot of points.
Yeah, it doesn't really, in the terms of things, it doesn't really make sense, because you're paying 140 for a Tiger 1, and the only thing you're really getting is the +1 armour.
Yeah.
In terms of some of the games, but is that +1 going to make a massive difference? No. For 100 and something points, you're talking a highly kitted out veteran squad, or a pioneer squad with flamethrowers and the such, for the same for those extra points. So yeah, it can be very intimidating. I know that I've seen these played. I don't know, one or two of the tournaments I've been to, that seeing a King Tiger on the board kind of makes everybody go, "Ooh, King Tiger, I need to kill it now." So it kind of draws the attention away from the rest of the team. But I think a medium or heavy German tank can pretty much the same job. So,
I think that's the thing as well, is that, but you see that on the battlefield, go, "Ooh, King Tiger," and then the experienced player just goes, "King Tiger, well, I'm just going to kill everything round it and ignore it."
Yeah, I did pretty much the same thing. I know I came up against one of the guys from Warlord when he bought a Jagdpanther. And the King Tiger's much bigger, but they're very similar in points. I pretty much thought to myself, well, being a German player and knowing what these tanks are capable of, I'll just avoid it. So I just avoided it the entire game, and it kind of nullifies. It's kind of lets the team, die down a little bit. I don't know whether tanks need their own special rules or doing something else to make them a little bit more niche in the game, but I guess bow action's more aimed towards infantry as a fight overall. The one or two tanks is just supposed to add that little bit of World War II flavour. So
yeah, it just doesn't have the. I mean, it looks so cool. I love the sweeping lines and the sloped armor. It just looks so badass.
It's very much the Panther Tiger combined. You have the very sleeks. You have that very big presence of a tiger with the sort of sleekness of a panther, and that's obviously what they were going for. It's kind of it's one of those little things where I think the King Tiger was sort of the final perfection of the German armour.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, model-wise, I think there's a few out there. So, main ones to look at, there is a plastic version from Warlord Games, which is, hang on, if I remember right, it's £24.
Well, I think in the store lately it was priced up at 23, so
okay,
23, £24. I think it just depends on what day that we can catch. So,
Warlord also do several resin variants that are still on their web store, around the same pricing, but they're like with the Zimmerit anti-mine protection stuff on it.
Yeah, I know I picked up my Whitman Tiger 1, and I basically bought my other King Tiger was down in my little storage area. That's a resin one that I picked up a while back, and I know I know obviously people out there were going to complain about resin models. People have problems with them, but I thought it was a phenomenal model. There's a great weight to it, and I find with the resin tanks, especially when you get the sort of heavy and super heavy, when you pick that tank up and put it on the battlefield, it really gives you that feel of like, I'm putting this monster down the battlefield.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just one of those little things. I don't know if everybody else feels that way, but for me, yeah, that's I'm a big fan of resin tanks.
So one of my first ever World War II 28mm models was a King Tiger. It's in my German box somewhere, but it's from Die Waffenhammer. So their stuff's like top end resin. It's so nice. I really need to repair it and get it back on the table. But it has that weight, that chunk. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's me. That Storm Tiger I've got is resin. It's got my Brumbar's resin. So, yeah, dropping them bad boys on. That feeling of, yeah, here it comes.
Rubicon have got a plastic version coming out. I don't think it's out yet, but this thing's insane. Have you seen it? It's like all the inside detail as well. So it's got like a sort of stretched out version where they've got all the interior details, all the crew compartment, all the ammo racks inside it.
So I was looking at this Rubicon next phase that they've been talking about with a lot of sort of super heavy and heavy tanks that they're coming with, and some of the artillery and stuff, and it's some beautiful stuff coming. I know obviously the 88, the German 88 Flak 8 or Flak 37 dual purpose 88, 36 dual purpose, and that was it was a bit fiddly in certain places, but what a model when you put it together. The detail is absolutely superb.
Yeah, it's awesome. That's ace. So that is I think one of two of the super tanks that we've got that actually did anything during the war. So this thing was involved in fighting. So our next tank, which is this is one of their crazy tanks. So there's a series of German paper panzers that were sort of dreamed up, and this one's just nuts. So this is the Mouse. Absolutely mental. Let's do the stats. So there were two of them made. One of them I think was broken down for parts, and the other one's in the Russian museum in Moscow.
It's a pretty beautiful tank, to be fair.
It had a crew of 6. It was 33 feet long, 33 feet long, 12 feet high. It weighed in at 188 tons, and it had frontal armour of 240 millimetres. Big bloody gun on it as well. But it was one of these dreamed up paper panzers. The idea of having a ridiculous amount of armour in a massive heavy tank that could just take on anything.
Well, this thing is pretty much the bulldozer of all tanks. And after 945, this is literally the bulldozer. There are no sort of sleek lines and stuff on it. This is how angled can we make a tank? How much armour can we put on it? How big can we make it? You got to look at this. What's the weight in? Is 180 tons.
188 tons, yeah.
Yeah, all right, 188 tons. Yeah, a normal, a modern day battle tank is about 65 tons. So you're talking 3 times, three modern battle tanks.
You're getting three Tiger 2s for the same weight.
Yeah. But you got to remember, this was all new. They put a new Porsche engine in it. You got the 128mm gun, which the stats vary from sort of 1.5 to sort of 2.8 miles with range. That's almost unheard of. There's even talk of them of some of the original testing of this thing went. An even smaller gun. I think it was like a 76mm gun. As a coaxial, and then having a 12.8, the main 12.8 millimeter, and then also having the sort of 50 cal, the German 50 cal located alongside. You'd have the main sort of 128 millimeter, a 76 millimeter, and then obviously your 50 cal. So it just gives you an idea of how big this tank was when you're really talking about putting two main armaments in it. So. Yeah, it's just a general monster. And if any of you played most computer games, when this thing seems to roll out in any computer game, it's just an absolute nightmare to deal with.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I've got one, as you can see, it's painted up here in winter camo. I saw it on a Blitzkrieg sale, so you can get it. The only place I've seen it is Blitzkrieg Miniatures, and it is £50. When they had their half-price sale, I thought, right, now you've got to do it. So 25 quid, yeah, I'm getting one. And it is just like that weighty feel you were on about before. It's just a chunk of resin. 2 big chunks of resin you just slap down on the table. Boom.
Yeah. It's a tank that I'd like to get, Jane, at once I sort of finish up this winter journey. I've got 2 Tigers. I've got a shed. Well, I've got a shed load of Tigers stashed at home. I've got Panzer IVs. I think this is my second King Tiger. So yeah, I think the sort of development would be a mouse to sort of finish off. I know I need to get a third tank because I've already got an elephant. So
yeah,
it's one of those last of the super heavies, and I think once again it's one of these tanks where you build your main force up as a ball action player, and then if you get to that point where you've had enough of your normal stuff, you go and pick something fun up like a mouse or King Tiger, Char 2C. So yeah, they're sort of fun tanks that if me and you were playing a little quiet game one afternoon, you can sort of chuck in there.
Yeah,
and obviously Tiger 2s we've seen in tournaments, but hey, doing that, that's a lot of points to put in. I think you're just playing for fun at that point, but. Yeah, I think if me and you were playing a sort of tank war game, I think it'd be funny to sort of chuck a mouse in there or chuck a Char 2C in and just see where they end up.
This thing's points are just nuts. So 464 inexperienced, 580 regular, 696 veteran, and it's got a shed load of rules. I mean, you've got a super heavy anti-tank gun that never counts as being at long range. So you're literally just picking anything off the board at short range. A light howitzer is the coax, like you said, and a couple of machine guns. It is slow, as you can imagine. Tiger Fear, it's got the Mobile Fortress rule, which means it's never reduced its penetration armor pen round it, so it's just armor 11 all around. The problem is, though, it can break down. It's got like a fuel shortage rule, which is a bit naff, considering how many points you're paying for this bloody thing. Can you imagine that first turn, rolling it on 6 inches, roll your dice, yeah, it's broken down. Well, there's...
That would, with me and morale tests, that would just be mad. To be fair, I think I didn't quite understand this from Warlord when I first started playing ball action and we first started seeing sort of super heavies come in. I think once you get past the heavy tanks, I think there's almost a... It's almost like Warlord tried to dissuade you from actually taking any of these tanks by adding, slow, adding breakdown rules, and just forcing you to have those rules. I think obviously if you're playing in-house and you want to play during rules or whatever and get rid of them, fair enough. But yeah, I think the idea is that I think tanks need a bit of a rework. I think that's something. I think that's something long off in the future, but hey, Jane, they're always see on the board. I'm never going to complain if I see a mouse or King Tiger or something appear on the board. I always think it's somebody's gone out of their way to go get one of these things, and it's always a part of history. It's kind of fun to play with.
Well, I think when all this lockdown's over, we're going to be doing some battle reports on the channel, and I think one of us has got to play with one of these beasts and just whack it on.
Very happy.
Yeah, I think we need to do it just for a laugh. Okay, so our last super tank that we're going to be talking about. So we've done French, done German. The last one is the IS-3 or JS-3, Joseph Stalin 3 tank. Okay, so it's hit you up with some stats. Quite a few of these were made. 2,311 in total made. It had a crew of 4. It was 32 feet long and 8 feet high. It weighed in at 51 tons and had 200 mil of frontal armour. So as far as tanks, super tanks go, it was had a pretty low profile for a massive tank. And a lot of the engineering and the ideas behind the Soviet armour, the sloped armour, the dome turret, you see a lot of these in modern Soviet sort of Cold War era tanks. This thing was really out of its time. I mean, it didn't really see any fighting on the Western Front. A few were used against the Japanese in the late 45, and a lot of them were then used in the Desert War between the Israelis and the Egyptians. But this thing, for World War II, it just does not look like a World War II tank at all.
Yeah, so this for the IS, it was basically almost every Russian tank, even up to the latest T-90s, are are all based off this sort of design. The Russians found something that worked, and they ran with it during the T-55, which is probably the most produced tank ever made. During is based off this thing, and during as you said, during they found a low sleek design that worked from the angle splash plate that's on the front. They went with everything that ran on this tank, and a lot of people say the turret looks like an upturned soup bowl, but they stuck with that design. They stuck with that design for the next 70 years.
Yeah. Because it works deflecting rounds off. It's absolutely brilliant armour.
Yeah. Yeah, really up until the 70s, this armour was still very, very current. It was only until sort of, your ATGMs and stuff came in that sort of defeated this armour, but, normal day-to-day armour penetration rounds would still skip off this turret. So during this thing worked, worked and worked well. During it's why we saw it. It's why it's got a list of countries that have used it, and also during a random list of wars that it's appeared in. It's done from what I've read pretty well. So it's a pretty impressive tank, and it's one of those things I think that if you look at and you go back, in hindsight, you go back and look at it was far ahead at its time. It sort of laid the path for Russian armour, which, as we know, they produced a lot over the years.
Yeah, definitely. I really want to get one of these. I think that if we had a game, we'd need to do like the King Tiger or the Mouse versus an IS-3 with a bunch of infantry. I think that'd make for a great game.
Well, we could always work a game out where obviously picks an IS-3 and then I don't know, you give each other 500 points on top to go and play around it and see where these tanks end up. So
yeah, I mean, from price point, so it's a resin kit from Warlord at £28, so it's not going to break the bank like a couple of the other ones either. Yeah.
No, that's easily a tank board. Even though I run primarily German force unit, I think at some point I'm going to have to pick another army, and I'll happily pick one of these up to give me a bit of inspiration to finishing a Germans.
So game-wise, it's, again, pricey. So we're looking at 480 in experienced, 600 regular, 720 veteran. It's got a turret-mounted heavy anti-tank gun, not super, just a heavy, with a pintle-mounted HMG and a coax MMG. So it's got a HMG as well, but that pintle, you'll never open that hatch, because why would you? It's a super heavy tank, so 11 plus armour. It does extra HE hits with its main gun, just fair enough. And then advanced armour that you were talking about. The IS-3 is exceptional front armour and counts as damage value 12 in the front. The only tank in the whole game with 12 up armour.
Well, it makes it a bit more difficult to penetrate from any angle, to be honest. Your average penetration is 6, like your super heavy getting 7. So you still only get 5. Even after you've managed to hit it, you're still having to get 5s. So you're probably still gonna be hitting on 4s. You have to move. You keep this thing in cover. This could be an absolute phenomenon. And as you said, with most Russian sort of main guns, they all had a better HE round than anywhere else in the world. So you're looking at a decent tank killer, infantry killer at this with sort of your MMGs, and obviously if you are sat in cover, it may not be a bad idea to sort of whip up MG at some point and have a pop, some sort of vehicle or something along those lines. But this all round, I think. I do think it deserves a super heavy gun, but I think if you added a super heavy gun to this thing, it would be the tank to take in a sort of tank war game. So
it definitely up the points as well.
Yeah. I know everybody's gonna look at this and go 700 points. Oh my god, that's so expensive. But yeah, with armor 12, that would make it almost out of reach of anything in the game.
Yeah, you'd need to get up behind it with a heavy gun still, because it's still armor 9 in the rear. Which is,
well,
again,
Well, look at it. A Panzerfaust. A Panzerfaust is what, a 6 plus armor penetration. Even if you got up behind with a Panzerfaust, you still needed 5s or 6s.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, nuts. So that just about concludes our chat on super tanks. again, I wanted to talk about these, and I'm going to get an IS3. I've decided. Sod it. I'm going to get an IS3. I'm going to get that bad boy painted up for this lockdown period. And we're going to get a stupid battle report on here with a mouse versus an IS3.
Yeah, sounds good to me. You know me, I love my tank battles, so be nice. I know a lot of the guys from Imps have talked about sort of all getting together and sort of whipping out everybody's tanks and armour and just having an absolute monster battle. So hopefully we'll be able to get some pictures, some video from that and do a small battle report on a very large game, which will be. I know everybody's hyped for the end of this lockdown. You know, it should. I'll be very disappointed in everybody out there if there aren't a lot of models and pictures flying around of battle reports when this is over.
Yeah, definitely. Right, thank you very much for joining us today, Dyer. You're going to be a key fixture on this channel from now on, whether it be videos, chatting absolute nonsense about tanks and World War II and bolt action. So thanks for joining us today. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and to hit that little bell icon so you know when there's a new video. Any questions, pop them in the comments below and we'll get round to it on our monthly FAQ video. Thanks very much, guys. See you later.